Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy SalvationsElite. We are back with another video, guys, and it's Rostermania. Once again, Rostermania videos back on the table, and we're going through all the news again today, baby. Again, there's just more to go through after our last video, just because of the amount of news that came out that night, and then the amount of news that came out yesterday about guys who are now free agents and organizations that, that might be working towards some contracts. We're gonna go through all we know so far and what to potentially expect the next few weeks. So basically, the foundation of what we need to know is the schedule of what's happening with free agency. So right now, teams that were currently in the CWL last year and who are in the CDL next year, which is Envy, OpTic, and Splyce, they're allowed to renegotiate contracts with their current players and actually sign them right now. So that's what's kind of happening right now, is those teams are going through that. All the other teams are allowed to talk to players, but they can't sign anything officially until September 3rd. So September 3rd will basically be when teams actually start announcing players they've officially signed. That's when that can start. I mean, it's going to be tough to say. It could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The news could be drawn on for a while, especially if they're announcing more franchise teams the next week or two, which is possible. It's kind of a lengthy process. So especially when there's new organizations coming into play, those relationships haven't been made yet. So all teams have their directors of esports, and then they have to have general managers, and then maybe assistants who help kind of negotiate all of those contracts and help those relationships with the team. So how the whole process goes basically is a team has the general manager. So that general manager will either be trying to get a captain for the team or maybe a duo to build around that team. And so that's kind of what all the general managers and all the teams and everyone's doing right now, is they're probably talking with all of the top 20 players right now, trying to negotiate and trying to see who would be their captain or who would be their duo to build around, or maybe even their trio to build around in some cases. That's what's going on right now. So there's tons of conversations, just 24/7 conversations with all the players, general managers, and ownership of the organizations in general. And so that's what we're kind of waiting on at this point. There hasn't been as many rumors when it comes to teams and connections with teams right now, but that'll start coming out more and more in the next few days. What we do know is the guys who are actually free agents and who are available and who aren't available and everything else. So the biggest news from yesterday, which was really interesting, is that Temp announced he's a free agent. That was really surprising. I think most of us were expecting that Temp would be kind of the foundation or the captain for Splyce, but apparently that's not the case. So when it comes to Splyce, we haven't heard anything from Looney or Aqua yet. Zero removed FaZe from his Twitter or whatever, but he hasn't had anything officially announced about him yet either. So it seems like somehow Temp got the boot from that team. Hook again is reportedly back on loan to Envy. So again, it is just really surprising that Temp wasn't able to make something happen with Splyce. Maybe that was his choice, maybe that was theirs, who knows, but at the end of the day, he probably won't be on Splyce next year. So I do want to talk more about Envy and 100 Thieves here in a second, but real quick, I just wanted to show some of the other players. Illy tweeted that he a subliminal tweet, very subliminal tweet. He tweeted the emoji, the signing emoji. Here's a picture of it right here, but he tweets that yesterday, which is interesting. So maybe he signed a contract, maybe he's just trolling, but he just tweeted that, something to be on the radar. Obviously, he's the most hyped player in forever. I don't know who is the most hyped player, but Illy, it might just be Illy. The amount of hype that he's had coming into this year, now turning 18, being able to play, that's going to be insane. So when that news officially comes out, I'll for sure be dropping that. And Joe also announced that he's the unrestricted free agent. There's a full list of everything that's happened that I think CWL Intel and a few other guys put together. I'll link that in the description because it's really interesting, as you guys are kind of seeing the picture of here. You just kind of go through all of the transactions if you guys want to look at it. And it is definitely really informational and good to know. So now when it comes to Envy and when it comes to 100 Thieves, there's just a lot of question marks all over the board. And so the rumor originally was with Envy, 2 years ago, was that, it makes sense. You connect the dots. All the OpTic guys live in Dallas. Envy says they're going to force their players to live in Dallas. So it only makes sense that for guys like OpTic, they'd want to live in Dallas. They'd be excited to have their teammates forced to live there with them. That is an interesting option for OpTic and for Envy. Although CWL Intel yesterday said that he had a close source that told him that Scump to Envy isn't a thing. So that doesn't mean that OpTic to Envy isn't a thing, or the rest of the OpTic guys to Envy isn't a thing, but Scump to Envy, he said, right now isn't a thing, which is surprising and not what I was expecting at the least. But there is a world where Scump wants to live in Los Angeles, even though he just built a house in Texas, and maybe that's what he wants to do. Because if that OpTic brand, who he's currently under contract with, is going to be in Los Angeles, maybe that's what he wants to do. He wants to move to Los Angeles, do that whole thing. That is a possibility. Because we've lost the COD burner, there's just a lack of news in the COD world when it comes to official, real, trustable rumors. Although Decimate did tweet that he's exploring all options. So it sounds like, from the sounds of it, it sounds like he was offered not a starting spot, like a substitute spot, one of the 6th man, 7th man spots, and he doesn't really want to do that. That seems like that's the potential right now with Envy. At the least, he's not guaranteed a starting spot with Envy, and so he's exploring all options. I'm assuming he is currently under contract with Envy still. So he is a restricted free agent, I'm assuming, in that regard. So there's just, again, tons of question marks with the Envy roster like we talked about in the last video. Those guys, Silly, Aches, Assault, they're all restricted free agents. So they're all trying to find their way on the new teams. Again, this is something I tweeted a few days ago, but like, imagine if Aches like snaked his way onto the OpTic Immortals roster. Like, and could you imagine like if OpTic became Envy and Aches went to OpTic? Like, that would be insane and like the most villain move of all time from Aches. I don't know if it's actually gonna happen, but it would be absolutely hilarious. So when it comes to 100 Thieves, this is a really tough situation because of the loans from Priestahh. So Priestahh is back on FaZe, at least at this point. His loan has ended. He's back on FaZe. Their coach Crowder, same with him, back on FaZe. So Kenny, Slasher, Octane, and Enable are now sitting there like, what are we gonna do? At this point, it sounds like 100 Thieves isn't going to be in the franchise league, which really sucks. But Nadeshot talked about it on an ESPN interview. He just said, like, it doesn't make sense for 100 Thieves right now to invest in a company that isn't going to be able to be branded as 100 Thieves. This is the problem that Activision created when having to force teams to be local. It doesn't make sense for some brands to be local like that and have to change their names and create a whole new brand. It does not make sense for 100 Thieves to do it. And I agree. For them, it's like, for their brand, they can just stick with Fortnite. They can stick with their other esports and kill it in the esports scene like that. It sucks because it makes so much sense to have them in the Call of Duty scene with Nadeshot, and it would really, really suck not to have Nadeshot in the Call of Duty scene again. But at this point, that looks like that's probably going to be the case. So it's hard to say where those guys would end up. I mean, Octane's one of the best players in the world. Slasher's one of the best players in the world. Kenny's one of the best players in the world. Enable's an incredible player as well. And so, I mean, they're going to be sought after prospects. Everyone's going to want to have them on their teams. I mean, in Modern Warfare, it feels like assault rifles are going to be pretty dominant in a lot of ways, or at least there's going to be one assault rifle that's insanely good. So I wouldn't be surprised if Octane or Slasher, there should still be a 2 AR meta in Modern Warfare. So I wouldn't be surprised if like Octane and Slasher still try to team together, or if Kenny's still down to team together as well. Like, that would definitely be possible. And Kenny and Enable played on TK last year, so are they a duo? We don't really know. How are Octane and Slasher's relationships personally? But easily like 3 of them, or maybe even all 4 of them, could end up together on the same team next year. So that's something to look out for as well with those connected dots. Hey, Josh from the future here again. So, okay, big news just dropped while I was editing the video. And so I literally just checked Twitter, and Dylan CoD announced that he is now a free agent, which basically means that Reciprocity is done for. I mean, otherwise, Reciprocity would have signed Dylan CoD if they were going to get a franchise spot. The rumor was they might be able to get one, and Dylan just announced that he's a restricted free agent. So basically, that guarantees that Reciprocity is not getting a spot. I mean, otherwise, if they were, they would have re-signed Dylan at all costs because it only makes sense for their brand, and he's just that good. But it looks like that's not going to be the case, so that Reciprocity is definitely in trouble. Crazy way to like wrap up this video here with some wild news at the end. I feel like I had to talk about it in this video. So that's just big news right now. I'm sure more Reciprocity news will come out about the rest of their roster. Let's keep going with the video. And so overall, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I wish we had more like concrete information to go off of besides just restricted free agents and everything. But there's just tons of conversations going on in the background right now. So, I mean, like, again, all orgs are in conversations right now with players. General managers are in conversations with players. The players are in conversations with each other, trying to figure out who wants the team, how Modern Warfare is going to feel. So it's really, really tough to say right now. I'm pumped there's going to be so much news in the next few weeks, and I'll 100% keep you guys updated with that. So with that said, we're going to have more strats videos and other gameplays and news on the channel. Community tournament again in a few weeks. But as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, like, favorite, and subscribe. Show if you guys really enjoy it. But as always, guys, we're SalvationsElite, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.